Okay, welcome to Section 5, Data Collection and Use. In this section, I'm going to go over the different types of data that advertisers are looking for, how it's used, what makes them different. Then I'll explain how they actually track that, explanation of a DMP, and walk through an example of what this data collection and use might look like. So the first of four main types of data that advertisers are looking for is demographic data. This is your basic information about a user, setting up who they are, what age range they fall into, do they have any kids, are they educated, are they employed, things of that nature. This is pretty high level information. And you just kind of want to start to narrow down your audience. If you are targeting a shoe company, you don't want to target everyone in the world. You maybe don't want to target kids, and maybe you don't want to target the elderly. You just want to target your particular audience. So demographic data starts to narrow that down a bit. The second is contextual data. So you want to target the right content to run your ads around, therefore contextual content. So if you are Nike, for example, you would want to advertise around sporting content, maybe something like ESPN or MLB or NFL. That makes sense for your brand. What might not make sense would be maybe politics. That's something that wouldn't necessarily align with your brand messaging. So you only want to target the right websites and apps that have content that is relevant to your brand. Also, this is used when we talk about verification because you don't want to run around inappropriate content. You don't want to run around an article that might be bashing your brand or negative to sports or to purchasing online or things that could hurt your user behavior. The next is location data. Fairly straightforward in terms of what location data is, but it is where are you physically located. Again, if you are Nike, maybe your particular product is only relevant to people in warm weather. So if you are advertising in December, you wouldn't want to advertise bathing suits in the Northeast, but you would want to do that in Florida or in Southern California. So you would want to target users who are only within a certain geographic location. You can determine that based on a couple of different things. You can use a user's IP address, so your internet protocol. That is common for laptops and desktop. You can use zip code. If you have registration data, you might know where that person is based on what they've told you. Maybe they've signed up for an email program, or maybe Facebook or Twitter or Pandora, and you know their exact zip code. If they're on a mobile device, you may be able to get the GPS location or their lat-long, latitude and longitude location, and serve an ad appropriately. And the last of the big four is behavioral data. So behavioral data is what kind of behaviors that user has taken. And you can start to get an idea of what type of person they are and trends and likelihood to engage with your content based on past behavior. So, what kind of sites have you visited? What kind of apps have you downloaded? What kind of games have you played? How much time do you spend on devices? How much time are you on a PC versus a smartphone? A lot of that is tracked using cookies. So every time you go to a site, your cookie history grows, and a ad can read that cookie data and decide if you are the type of person that they want to target. Again, in Nike's situation, if you go to a lot of different sports sites, then even if you aren't on a sports site at the time, they know based on your past behavioral data that you would be a good target audience to reach, and they'll still want to give you an ad.